You can't even imagine leaving. You're too afraid of the consequences, and there are too many things binding you to him. Or you have left, and now you're wondering, how long is this journey? How long before I recover? Let me share my experience with you. It's been 18 months and 4 days since I left my husband. Before I left, I was a success outwardly. I was working as a medical doctor on my way to becoming a GP. I made a good salary. I worked full days and took care of my kids. I had a good relationship with them. Let me start by sharing a clip with you. This is me sitting close to the water side. My daughter is holding the camera and she's asking me, "Mommy, what do you love?" And my son is hugging me from behind and he says, "Mommy." Mama. This is a beautiful moment, or it should be, except my mind was busy because on the way to the lake, my husband had just gotten into another argument with our son and he was now pouting. So he wasn't sitting with the family. And like many times before, I was anxious. I was trying to keep things together. I was trying to keep my share up for the kids' sake. Outwardly, I was successful, but under the surface, I was deeply sad. I had been struggling to make our relationship better for years. I felt like such a failure. I felt fat, ugly, and unwanted. My husband had not kissed me in years. He told me repeatedly that I needed to lose weight. And I wasn't successful to lose any more weight because I was so tired during the days. So I had to eat carbs to keep going. When I look back at these pictures, I can see that I was normal weight and I was looking quite well, but that's not how I felt. I was so tired. I was so lonely. I used to start every morning by writing my gratitude list to keep my mind from going to a darker place. This is my gratitude list from the 5th of August 2022, a year and 3 months before I left. I'm grateful for he has shopped clothes, he has bought groceries, he did the laundry, he followed us to the beach, he sleeps at home, he's doing a morning exercise routine with the family. I'm also grateful because I have an education. I don't have to work weekends. Our daughter is turning 6 soon. Our kids are happy and healthy. I was trying to focus on what good I had to keep my mind from going to and dwelling on the things that were negative or the fights. I was also trying to use positive thinking to manifest what I wanted in our relationship. It felt like he was not investing anything in our relationship. So if I were to do the same, then there would be no relationship. And I was also very scared of what would happen if I did not keep him in a good mood. Going back to this place in my life is very hard. Perhaps you're noticing that I have to take a lot of breaks. I still dream about being back there almost every night, even with all the time that has passed. And I wake up with panic, feeling, and then being so grateful that it was only another nightmare. So what was so horrible if I had it so good? Well, my husband was controlling my every move, and he was being a dictator of the home. So he would decide what we would do and when and what we would buy. He was controlling the entire finances. So I couldn't buy anything without his approval. I couldn't buy any clothes to myself. So my wardrobe consisted of one pair of pants and a couple of shirts and then one sweater. And my husband told me that, well, the other clothes don't fit you because you have gained weight. And I had gained weight since I got pregnant with my kids. But somehow I accepted this. I had gotten so beaten down. I felt so like a failure, and it felt like I was somehow responsible for our relationship being so poor because I had not found the right method to fix it. And at the same time, I realized that this was not normal, and it was totally ludicrous, a lot of things that was going on. And I even realized that my husband had a personality disorder. But somehow there were like several different realities that were slipping out of focus. I would sometimes go crazy trying to reason or try to figure out what was going on. But I thought that, well, I'm intelligent. I should be able to solve it. I should be able to fix it. How come he doesn't love me? It was like I was being some sort of chocolate. So I had to mix up my recipe, because who doesn't like chocolate cake, right? So I have to just figure out the right recipe and then he will love me. But I wasn't successful, and I was getting more and more worn. I once followed my mother-in-law to a doctor's appointment, and she had dementia the last years of her life. And then the doctor asked her, "So how old are you?" And she didn't remember, but she answered, "I think I'm close to 100," because that's the way she was feeling in her body. And at this time, when I thought about my age, well, I was 35 or 36 in the pictures that you see. When I thought about my age and I remembered it, I was surprised that I was so young, because I felt so old. And I felt that my life had been so long and so hard. And my age didn't match how I was feeling inside. So what did my days look like? Well, they followed a very tight schedule. I was working Monday to Friday, 8 to around 5. And the working days were hard, so I barely had time to take lunch. There were a lot of patients to see. And then I would pick up my kids, go home, and they would watch iPad for a bit as I prepared all the vegetables and salads. The meals or the food I had already prepared on Sunday, so I would cook large amount of food on Sunday, so it would last for the entire week. But then I had to prepare the vegetables, and 3 of those were salad bowls for my husband, because he was eating a very healthy diet, and he demanded that I fixed the food for him because he couldn't do it. And it would take a lot of time to chop up all the vegetables and fix it. And then I would put plastic foil over his food for the next day, because he was never home during this period, these hours. Even though he was unemployed, he were out somewhere, never knew where. Then I would have dinner with my kids. And after that, we perhaps did some homework. At this point, my head was just ringing from being so tired. Then we would brush our teeth, and I would read them a bedtime story. Then I would collapse in my bed, just sleeping, totally knocked out. I didn't dream anything during these periods because I was so tired. And even as I was falling asleep, I felt like a failure, because I could often hear my husband coming home at this time when the kids were to bed. And I thought that, well, if I don't wake up and work on our marriage and don't spend any time with him, then how will things ever improve? But if I did go up, he would ignore me and text on his phone, but I would feel like, well, at least I put in my effort. And if I did go up, he would often complain or tell me things that I needed to do. And my body was just at this point saying, no, I did not want to go up and be close to him. So my mind was fighting with my body. And I was having a lot of migraines. I was taking migraine medications, paracetamol and ibuprofen almost daily to keep the migraines at bay. So why did I stay in this situation? Well, I had sort of lost hope that things would improve, actually, if I were to be honest. But I thought that, well, if I can't be happy, then at least I can create a stable home for my kids. So I would, a couple of times a week, my husband would be home to see the kids for a bit or play with them and give them a hug. And then I would feel like, well, at least they have their dad here. At least they have a dad that hugs them sometimes. And that's worth everything to me. So even if I'm not happy, then if they are happy and stable, then it's worth to sacrifice my own happiness for them. And another reason for why I stayed was that my husband had been physically violent before, and even one episode where my kids were younger and I tried to leave and he tried to end my life. And I had a feeling that I would not be able to leave. And I thought that, well, it's better for my kids to have this home and to have a mom than it is to venture out into the unknown with them. And it could be dangerous. But the situation was not stable because my body didn't have the energy to keep going. And often I would wake up at 2-3 a.m. with my heart racing and almost cold with sweat because I was feeling stressed and it was work. So working full time as a doctor and then not having any time to unwind did start to take its toll. And I tried to tell my husband that I can't continue. I can't continue working full time. I need either you to help me out with the kids, or I need to decrease my working hours. And he would then guilt me and tell me that, well, what's the matter with you? You can't just be patient for 3 more years until you get your specialty and your salary increases. So how come you can't fight for us for 3 more years? After all, we're all depending on you. And he would also guilt me with the fact that he had helped me get through med school and helped me with my student loans, because during this period he had his own business and it was quite successful. So I helped you, and now it's your time to help me because I can't work right now. So now it's on your shoulders. Like before, I was the one doing the heavy lifting, and now it's your turn. So I felt obliged to continue. And he had also tricked me into buying a very expensive apartment where the loans were at huge cost every month. And he was living in that apartment. As he said, it was to fix it up. But it had now been 1.5 years of fixing it up and throwing some paint on the wall. And the idea was to rent it out. But then he changed his mind and said that, well, no, we're going to sell it. And this was in a time that the economy was, well, the cost for apartment were decreasing, and he demanded a price that was unreasonable. So I think it was just another way of tricking me, because he wanted to live there and only visit us on the weekends. But my salary was going to pay this apartment as well, so I was feeling tied down by like in a situation where I couldn't get out. Then something happened. In August of 2023, I felt that I can't continue in this situation. And besides from all the things I told you, he was also arguing a lot with me and trying to start fights and criticizing me and coming home angry. And it was taking too much of a toll on me. So I thought that since he is anyways living not with us most weeks, then perhaps we should just separate. So I told him that I don't want the divorce, I just want to separate. I can't take the arguments. And that discussion ended with him very quickly taking one of our very sharp kitchen knives. The blade was about this size, and holding it to my stomach. And he told me that he was, I'm sorry, I can't tell you on this video, but I was certain that he was going to end my life. And very quickly I changed my mind and did the most, and I did I convinced him that I did not want to separate and that I really loved him, but I was just tired from work, and that's what had made me say that. And then he put the knife back. But I'm still convinced that had I not done that turn, then I would not be here. But after that incident, then it was sort of like I lost the worldview that had kept me going up until then, that he was struggling with mental issues, and he was doing what he could, but he wasn't really equipped for being a father or having adult responsibilities, and he was bringing all this negativity to me because he couldn't deal with it inside of himself. And he really loved me in the way that he could. That all just flew out the window. That I realized that it was not true, that he was ready to end my life just because I said that I was too tired, couldn't continue. And I stopped writing in my journal. I stopped writing those gratitudes. And I was just blank. Like, I would just do my work and then the routine and then go to bed and just forget about my life. And during this time, I started to gain a lot of weight. So I was, I guess, stuffing my feelings. And eventually, 3 months later, there was an episode where I just had enough, and suddenly I got intensely angry. I had not been that angry since I was a teenager, and leaving him felt very much like doing the teenage rebellion. So a feeling of just being out of control and a bit crazy, and I don't care about the consequences. And I felt that I don't even care if I live or die. Like, that was a possibility that I would not make it. And I thought that I'd rather have it end here than continuing this hell that I was living in. So eventually I was able to leave. The first half year after leaving, I was living in terror. He was stalking me. He was showing up outside of my home. He was making a lot of calls to my kids, and they were very intrusive and asking what I was doing and asking them to film me and to convince me to agree to do things. And he was constantly trying to get back in control over me. This eventually ended in me filing a police report in May, so half a year later. And also I stopped supporting him because I was still supporting him during this time. So it was a process, first just leaving, and then the process of breaking free financially and emotionally. And then I got help from the police, and they deemed the situation and the threat to be so serious. The risk for lethal violence was high, so I got a protected identity in last summer. So I've been living under this protected identity for now 10 months. And I've had to move a total of 4 times and change work 2 times because he was continuing to stalk us. So I lost my job that I really enjoyed. I had to move from the town where my relatives lived. And well, my kids lost their father. And all the things that I had feared actually came they came true. So it became very dangerous. He was stalking and threatening us. My economy completely collapsed. Everyone knew what was going on, and my kids lost the safe home that they had. But I will tell you that leaving him was the best thing that I have ever done, in spite of all this, because I have gained so much. Even though I lost my social reputation and that work, and I lost a lot of money. Well, let's start with my kids. So I thought that my husband was just mean to me, and he was really treating the kids good. But after leaving, they have told me that they felt the tension, and they felt that he was dictating to them what they could do and could not do. And I also learned that he was not always nice to them. In fact, he had hurt them when I was not there. So that was something I could never have imagined, because he used to play the best dad whenever I saw him. And that was really, really hurtful. I am also, even though I have had a collapse after leaving, so I've been really, really tired and burned out. I think that was just all those years catching up with me, and my body just having to rest to start to recover. I no longer go around with anxiety. Actually, I feel quite calm and peaceful, and I even can take naps, and I do so daily, and I love to take naps. My kids they are happier, and they are freer, and we have a better relationship now. I thought that they would take this change a lot worse, that they would be affected mentally, but actually they are blossoming, and they are happy kids, and they are finding friends easily, and they're playing, sleeping soundly, and eating well. And for the first time, I feel hope for the future, and I feel joy. This is the first spring that I am truly free of him, and I feel that it is such a beautiful spring, and the smells and the green grass and the flowers that are coming up. And as I told you, I still dream about being back and having to flee again. I could never imagine going back. I don't think there would be anything in the whole world that could make me go back. And I don't think I would be able to go back. I would no longer fit into that box that he had built and shrink for me for years. And not just because I gained weight, because my mind is more there, it is freer, and I'm no longer willing to bend that far backwards. I did not realize how my life had shrunk and how tiny it was, and how tiny I had become, almost like a human AI just doing the chores. I am actually very grateful for those events and for how horrible it became during the last years, because that had forced me to leave. Otherwise, if things would have just been a little more bearable, I would have continued, and I would have been buried alive in my own life. So 18 months after, my life is completely different, and it almost feels like I'm a different person. The woman that was struggling so to get through the days, I no longer have to struggle to get through my days. I am enjoying them, and I am discovering different sides of me, and I'm growing in ways that I never thought. I'm being brave, sometimes a little crazy, like starting this channel, and the aim is to help other women and to help to spread this awareness and to wake people up. I'm trying to create a resource that will help survivors in different stages of their journey. And that is all the way from not getting into one of these relationships to when they are in it, making the decisions to stay or to leave. How do you leave safely? How do you deal with the post-separation abuse? And how do you move on and build the best life that you can? So I'm trying to cover all of those areas. And I am using my knowledge as a doctor. I'm using my knowledge from psychiatry and psychology and from what I've seen in my practice. And also I'm using my experience as a survivor and from having observed these dynamics since I was a small kid. And lately I have been doing some videos about finding healthy love. No, I'm not dating anyone. As a family physician or the healthcare center, we get a very close look into the lives of families and of people. Life has so much more to offer than the little box that the toxic person wants to keep you in and take you out at their convenience. They don't want you to be a full human. They want to turn you into an appliance. And I am no longer an appliance. So I will never go back. I'm going forward now. If this helped you, drop a comment below. And if you want to hear more of my story, I will link a few videos in the description. This is Emma holding up a light over the bridge. Remember, there is always a way out. There is always a way forward. Please be safe, take care, and have a great day.